Alright, the pattern of 7 in the Bible. Most of you probably know that 7 is a special number with God. In Exodus 31, verse 15, work shall be done for 6 days, but the 7th is the Sabbath of rest, holy to the Lord. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, and on the 7th day he rested and was refreshed. So we have this idea of 7 being special, separate, holy, different than the other days. It's a point of arrival, of completion and rest. And God commanded that the Jews make it separate. Okay, the 7th should be different and special. You have 6 days that you work, and the 7th one you rest. So we have that pattern of 7 there. Now we have to look through a telescope, not a microscope, for this next one. Looking through a telescope, we can see something called the Millenial week. Millennial means 1,000, right? Now I hope we all know that the earth is way older than 6,000 years old. Now from Adam to us, that's 6,000 years, right? From Adam to us, and people have counted up the years very painstakingly, and it's been 6,000 years from Adam to us. But the earth is much older than that. Things went on the earth before we came here, or before we were made. I don't mean we came here, but before God made Adam, there were things going on the earth. And there was creation before us, the angels, and you can read about it in, when you open up the Bible and we read about the end of something. The earth was without form and void. And you can read more about that in Genesis, the state of the earth, in Jeremiah's flood in Jeremiah. There's been sin and destruction, and the earth is a wilderness without form and void, and there's blackness. That's not how God makes things. He makes things perfect. Something had happened to make it come that way. And in Jeremiah we read that there were cities, and they were broken down and destroyed from the fierce anger of the Lord. And there was, civilization. And perhaps that's what archaeologists find when they find really ancient things. Who knows what God made back then and what was going on? I'm very curious to know. But from Adam to us is 6,000 years. So if we look at those 6,000 years as one day being 1,000 years, then we have a millennial week, each day being 1,000 years, and the whole week being 7,000 years total. Okay, if we look at it that way, approximately on Sunday there was restoration of the earth. Okay, Genesis is about a restoration of the earth, not creation. It was already created, but it was destroyed because of sin and God's justice. And He begins to restore the earth. We have Adam and Eve in Eden, the fall. Okay, on Sunday, about late Monday afternoon, we have Noah's flood. Okay, if we look at it through a telescope in millenniums. Then Tuesday and Wednesday, we have Abraham and the captivity in Egypt when the Jews were slaves for 430 years. And then we have the nation of Israel, Tuesday and Wednesday. Then we have Christ came there at that point. And then Thursday and Friday, we have what we call the church. Okay, it's a 2,000-year period. And we're, I guess, Friday night, huh? 6,000 years. Daniel's 70th week is part of Israel that is yet to be completed, right? So the church is an interruption there. Daniel's 70th week there in red. It's not to scale. Then we have one more day after that, which will be the day of the Lord. The Lord's Sabbath day, His rest. It's His day. He owns it, and He will take it by force, rule it with a rod of iron, and shepherd it with the Word of God. Okay, the day of the Lord, His day, the Sabbath day. For 6,000 years, there's been 6 days of progressive revelation, right? The Bible being given to us through the Jews, and then in the church and Paul and all of that. 6 days of progressive revelation, 6,000 years. And then there's one day that remains, the Sabbath day, his day of rest, the day of the Lord. And then we'll have things that happen after that day when Satan is loosed. And, we're not going to get into that because that's not pertinent to our discussion here. But now do you understand what the day of the Lord is? How long it is? It's the 1,000-year day. It's the Lord's day. That makes sense, doesn't it? So, let's review. What is the day of the Lord? Wrath and peace. How long is it? 1,000 years. And we can see how it fits into his program. Here. Now let's answer one more question. When does it begin? And we'll do a new video for when does it begin.